As anyone living in a metal box will tell you, the forces of nature feel far more immediate and unforgiving than they do from within the solid walls of a traditional home.
The silver lining is that our home on wheels allows us to chase good weather.
But what happens when things go wrong? What if one of us falls ill or we face another pandemic?
These concerns have accelerated our plan to find a piece of land where we can settle down when the need arises.
One of the most crucial factors in choosing our new home? The weather, of course, but more importantly, the shifting patterns of changing climate.
This week, as we hike the stunning landscapes of Bryce Canyon.
Oh my goodness, look at this!
And examining what science predicts for the future in the face of changing climate over the next 20 to 40 years.
We will uncover which regions might become almost uninhabitable.
And reveal the safest places to call home in the U.S.
Bryce Canyon is a natural wonderland sculpted by the relentless forces of nature over millions of years.
This morning, we're taking you along on the park's most popular hikes.
Wall Street and the Navajo Loop Trail.
These unique rock formations, known as hoodoos, stand as silent witness to the power of time and the ever-changing climate. We started with the Navajo Loop. We're going down Wall Street, and these switchbacks are breathtaking.
Oh my goodness, look at this! It's just incredible when you look up how blue the sky looks. Like the color doesn't look natural against the red rocks. It's like magical. The hoodoos have endured it all. Wind, rain, snow, tectonic forces, nature's full arsenal. They remind us of the relentless power of time and the profound impact of climate change.
Scientists have studied what's happened to the land here at Bryce Canyon, and with millions of years of insight, these breathtaking landscapes demonstrate the power of time and climate. Look at this tree.
Bryce Canyon's history began 50 million years ago when it was a lake and part of the floodplain system, depositing layers of sediment that eventually formed rock like sandstone and limestone.
As the Earth's crust shifted, the region was uplifted during the formation of the Colorado Plateau, raising it to its current elevation of about 7,000 to 9,000 feet above sea level. This uplift exposed the sedimentary layers to weathering and erosion.
Over millions of years, freeze-thaw cycles and slightly acidic rain eroded the rock, forming the unique hoodoo structures that Bryce Canyon is famous for today. These processes continue to shape the landscape, making Bryce Canyon a dynamic and evolving geological wonder.
Now, as we've traveled the country looking for a new place to call home, we've fallen in love with several places. But when we look at the predictions, we see dramatic changes that'll transform how people live across the country. Now, we spent the pandemic in Indiana with my family. We've got a parking pad, so we know we can always go back there if we need to. But I'm a little concerned about some of the shifts that are predicted in the Midwest.
Projections show that by the mid-century, heat and humidity in Missouri, parts of Indiana, Illinois, Tennessee, and Kentucky will feel like the swamps of Louisiana does today. This is all attributed to what is called wet bulb.
The wet bulb temperature takes dry temperature, relative humidity, air pressure, wind speed, and solar radiation into account to reflect how the air feels during high temperatures.
Our bodies cool down by sweating, so when wet bulb temperatures are high, sweat doesn't evaporate very well, making it tough to stay cool. This can lead to heat exhaustion, heat stroke, or death.
We struggled through the humidity in Indiana while we built our bus out, so I can only imagine how much more uncomfortable it'll be with 15 to 25% increase in wet bulb temperatures estimated from 2040 to 2070.
No matter where we choose to live, access to clean drinking water is always going to be important. That's why we are so thrilled to partner with Kohree for this video.
We've been on the road for over 2 years, and every 6 to 8 months we have to buy a new hose because honestly, most of them are pieces of junk. We've had hoses that kink up until they're unusable and hoses that break down and develop holes in them.
Which pretty much defeats their whole purpose. But not the Kohree upgraded RV water hose.
We're using the 50-foot Kohree water hose.
Thanks to Kohree food-grade PVC material made from natural, environmentally friendly rubber, it's lead-free, BPA-free, and adds no odors.
This one has an explosion-proof rating of 500 PSI. Our bus tires only take 120 PSI. I can't imagine this thing ever exploding on us.
With built-in anti-kink ability, it naturally keeps itself from knotting up.
This hose is great for a gardening hose. You can wash your pets, your cars, your trucks, and of course, it's perfect as an RV hose. To make sure our water is safe, we've added Kohree's inline water filter. It's NSF and BPA free certified. It's long lasting with a thicker food grade plastic shell.
And Kohree's inline water filter design promotes a more streamlined water flow, so it reduces waiting time to get water where you want it.
We'll leave a link in the description below,
so you can get yours today. Look at this twisty guy. In our first year of travel, one place that really resonated with me, I could see us living there, was Nevada City, California.
Although large sections of California are predicted to see longer, hotter summers, the mountain region of Nevada County is expected to see less impact than the rest of the state.
But the real danger to so much of the entire western state is the potential increase in wildfires.
And we lived in California for 20 years, and we experienced what happens when wildfires go wild. We actually had to evacuate one time from our house. It was one of the factors that made us decide we wanted to build our house on wheels.
Longer, hotter summers mean more potential for wildfires.
With climate models projecting northern Nevada, southern Idaho, and Oregon to see the largest increase in wildfires, with up to 2.45 large wildfires a year.
And so much of Northern California and the mountains around Nevada City could be impacted, as well as most of the western states.
There's people on horses up there.
I think there's something magical about Colorado. Up in the mountains, the western part, pine trees, fresh air, alpine lakes, but you have to convince Milla to handle the snow.
The central Colorado Mountains are one of the few areas in the US that aren't expected to see massive increases in temperatures over the next 20 to 40 years.
However, a concern about increasing wildfires throughout the Colorado Rockies does leave some concern. This place is stunning. This is gonna go down on one of my top 5 hikes, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely the most unique hike we've ever done. Now, the Gulf Coast of Mexico is a haven for snowbirds to come down south, escape the snow in winter. But it takes a severe beating during hurricane season.
With warming of our seawaters, scientists see it as very likely hurricanes will have higher rates of rainfall and reach higher top wind speeds.
This means more hurricanes would reach the most intense categories of 4 and 5.
This will cause strong storm surges and increase damage to the environment and economy.
The Gulf Coast will also be subjected to sea levels rising, with some areas seeing 25% of coastal property projected to be below high tide levels in the next 25 to 40 years.
Current climate forecasts suggest that this region could suffer some of the worst environmental and economic consequences, along with the coastal areas of Florida, Alabama, and the Louisiana coast. Now, as an example of how the different kind of sediment wears differently, this area here, 2 bridges right off the Navajo Trail, it's got 2 vertical rock formations that go right across from one hoodoo to another. And predictions for the Southwest don't look much better, showing major challenges for the years to come.
Southern Arizona could see temps above 100 degrees for nearly 6 months a year.
And while we've traditionally thought of southwestern Arizona as a dry climate, climatologists like Hannah Hess of the Rhodium Group predict soaring wet bulb temperatures because of factors like sun angle, wind speed, and cloud cover in reaction to the area's projected high temperatures.
Hoodoos are all different shapes and sizes, but there sure are a lot that look like penises.
Just one stunning view after another.
It's kind of scary. One thing is for sure, if you come to Bryce Canyon, bring layers. It was freezing in the morning, and down in the canyon in the shade, it's real cool. But when the sunshine comes out, it is hot. At this point, you're probably asking, so what place isn't going to be affected? Well, let's start with one of our favorites, the Pacific Northwest.
Coastal Washington State and Oregon look to be some of the least impacted areas, with only slight bumps in warming.
The trick will be finding areas that won't be affected by increased temperatures while avoiding the immediate coastal land that will be impacted by rising sea levels.
And the other place that looks like it's going to have the least amount of impact from climate change in the near coming future, the upper Midwest.
In particular, Wisconsin and Michigan show only small increases in yearly temperatures, with little worry for wildfires or wet bulb. Plus, the longer, warmer summers might slightly increase economics in the upper Midwest, with longer growing seasons and an increase in crops.
Which stands in striking contrast to much of the Southeast and parts of Arizona.
But we were also curious to see what changes we might see in Montana.
Although we do see some temperature increases projected, the real threat to Montana is the potential for more wildfires. But just like the upper Midwest, longer, warmer summers might increase economic growth with longer growing seasons, tourism, and crop yield.
But the areas predicted to be most impacted by climate change over the next 20 to 50 years are the U.S. East Coast.
Climate change models show sea level rise as the looming threat to the U.S. East Coast from the top to bottom.
With about 50 million Americans residing in 8 of the biggest U.S. cities, including Miami, New York, and Boston, all in what are expected to be some of the most impacted counties in the country.
And North Carolina's Hyde County and Terrell County look extremely vulnerable to sea level rise due to their low-lying geography.
These counties face increased risks of coastal flooding, erosion of shorelines, and saltwater intrusion into freshwater sources.
And to all that, the state of Louisiana says, hold my beer, and has many counties with combined threats of sea level rise, wet bulb, and heat,
which are expected to contribute to massive changes in economic impact for the area.
At the end of the day, there's a lot more to consider than the weather or the climate when you're choosing a new place to live, whether it's for us or for you.
I'd be curious to know what areas you're excited about or interested in if you're thinking about making a move.
Finding the perfect place to live isn't necessarily our goal, because there will always be pros and cons to each place.
And in the end, these are just predictions, and predictions are going to change in 5, 10, or 20 years' time.
But we feel this is a smart way of knowing what we would be getting ourselves into when looking for land.
Even though we have a feeling that when we do find the right place, we'll just know it's the right place.
Leave us a comment if you have a place or region in the country you think we should visit as we search for our new place to call home.
Our sources from this data come from the Rhodium Group Climate Impact Lab, Chi-Tu School of Life Sciences, Nanjing University, University of California, and Mercer.
There's no one to blame for your love.